Yeah, you're welcome to the Yenique9ja podcast. My name is Olu Yenique. Well, I call myself Olu more these days, and just that just came out. But yeah, this is Yenique, and you're welcome to Yenique9ja podcast. Yeah, today we are talking about a book. I'll be doing a book review. This is one. This is my first book review, but I've read so many books, but few books have actually stayed with me for you know, a while. When I say books that have really impacted my life or books that I feel like everyone should read, that carry weight and, should actually be shared. This is one of them, and that's why I'm reviewing it. Other books that are worthy of mention, Trevor Noah's Born a Crime is actually a book that I feel everyone should read. I read the audio version. Was that actually reading? I don't know. But I listened to the audio version and it was Trevor narrating the book himself. And there were times where the book made me laugh. Like I remember exactly where I was when I was listening to the whole book. And there were times when I cried. There were times where I laughed so hard. And it was just, there was always an emotion, with every line that I heard, and it stuck with me. The other book that is worthy of mention is I Am Malala. My friend just gave me the book recently, this same year, 2025. And mind you, I read Trevor Noah's book a long time ago, like a really long time ago. But I read I Am Malala this year, and it was very eye opening. It's very important to read books about other cultures, about other people's lived experiences. The other thing that has given me the kind of emotion that I Am Malala gave me, I read I Am Malala. I think I read it in like 2 3 nights. I finished it in I couldn't drop it basically. Mind you, I was carrying my newborn at the time, so like literally all night while I was holding her or something, I was reading at the same time. It was that interesting. The only other thing that evoked sort of the same emotion that book evoked in me is watching this YouTube series, Life in a Day. You might not get what I'm trying to say, but reading Malala's book, reading about another culture that I had absolutely no idea about, like you could learn about something from movies, you could read about them, vaguely just pass in passing. But she was so descriptive about our environment, our culture. Like she was very descriptive and very basic at the same time. So it stuck with me in a way that was so special. And that's why I could relate it to watching Life in a Day, the series on YouTube then, because I was just exposed to something I didn't know existed by watching that series. It was something else. It was something else. And it's just you figuring out that there are other lives outside of yours, and makes us appreciate cultures, appreciate people, appreciate experiences. And that's what the book did to me. I know it has a theme of activism, of wanting the best for women, just like I feel those rights. I feel the fight is important. And I feel for the country, I feel for the situation, I feel for the girls that were left behind, I feel for Malala, I feel for our family and all of that. But I'm just saying that the way I saw it was she brought us into our world. She took us into our childhood. She took us into our city. She took us into how she grew up, and that stuck with me. That I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that yes, the activism in the book was important, but I feel like she really drew us into her world, into her mind, and that was beautiful. So the book we're talking about today is also a book that has really impacted me. The book is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, written by Yuval Noah Harari, I think, yeah. Over the years, I've seen a lot of people talking about this book. Like, oh, Sapiens, oh, this book is like, need to read this, that. But one, it's a huge book. And for like a number of years now, I've not really, apart from ebooks here and there, documentaries and podcasts actually took over my interest in reading. They kind of just took over everything in my mind. So I left books for a while. So I wasn't really, I'm like, can I get the audio version? If I can't, then I'm not reading it. But recently, I saw another post, like someone saying something about, like, I'll just go to the library and get this book and then see what's up with it. So I got to the library, I requested this book. I got the book and I read it. Like I said, it's a huge book, but it was really fun. Like, from the first page, you can get the brief idea of what this is about. Like, and I really enjoyed the book. Like, I enjoyed it. It scared me. It made me optimistic. It's made me. It's So when it comes to my faith and my interest in history, the world, why we're here, things like the existential questions, basically, I used to be confused at one point, but I'm not anymore because I've just accepted that the world cannot be explained away by one thing. The world cannot be explained away by Christianity. The world cannot be explained away by atheism or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but being an atheist, basically, the world cannot be explained away by one concept or by one thing because there's always going to be a counter opinion. And so, in that regard, this book did not affect me, but it poked questions, of course. Like, so if you're a Christian that you don't like your faith to be questioned in any way, or you don't like questions around does God really exist and stuff like that, you probably won't like the book. So now let's delve into it. One thing I would like to say from the scratch is this man is a pessimistic man, and the book kind of spells doom from the beginning. It kind of just tells us the history of how we got here, why humans are what they are, what's basically what we have become, how we came to rule the world and everything, how we came to, like, we everywhere humans have gone to over the past, like, decades, they've chased out some cultures, chased out some animals, chased out entire ecosystems and stuff like that, and we've grown, but at, like, our detriment, sort of. So it spells doom. It's very pessimistic. It's not actually in support of humans. I mean, sometimes it gives you like opposing views and says, "Oh, yes, I know that I'm saying humans are wicked and we've conquered the world in this way, this way, this way, but these are the progress we've made." But it tells us of the dangers or the things we've destroyed more than the good things that we've done. So I feel that's intentional, and that's sort of the writer's views coming to play, in some way, which is not wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that it doesn't see the positives as much as the negatives, right? So now, the book is just about the history of humankind, how we came to be, how we took over from Neanderthals and everything. And one of the reasons why I like reading is you learn a lot of things when you read. Like, I know, we're told Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, there are some Homo people in between that I actually have never heard of. I cannot remember the name right now. I think I should have written that down when I was taking down the notes. But like, I didn't know that. I actually never heard of these people or heard of these versions of man, heard of these versions of our ancestors or whatever. But like, yeah, I know that most humans now that exist have a bit of Neanderthals in them. I knew of that. I've heard of that before. I've heard of the theory, and I've heard that, oh, probably maybe at a point we mixed with Neanderthals, or at a point, you know, the theory is very shaky. There's no definitive theory in place. And that's why I like this. I like science because it will tell you, oh, we think this is what happened, but nobody will tell you this is exactly what happened because nobody knows. Nobody was there. So that's science for you. And that brings me back to what I said in the beginning. There is nothing that explains the world perfectly. You cannot say evolution this, evolution that, and then people took from migration this happened and then they everything is just speculation because nobody knows actually what happened. And it's very interesting to read about these other homos in between. Homo this, homo that, homo this, homo this, homo that. In fact, there's a particular set of predecessors that we had that were shorter, smaller, in a particular part of the world where they didn't need to be so tall as, so different versions of man has existed over the years. And generally, Homo sapiens has been the one that survived and has, not survived the longest, but like, yeah, I think survived the longest, I guess, but has made the most impact. And what is interesting again is bringing me to the fact that nobody can explain the world. Because some of the things that scientists have said over the years, okay, man moved from Africa and then they moved from Africa to this is that. But I mean, you were explaining to me that some group of men, Homo sapiens, moved from one place in maybe Kenya or Uganda or something and walked to Africa. Then some of them walked to Siberia. And then those same group of people found a way to Madagascar, found a way to Australia. It's like I know the explanation of tectonic plates moving around, and some continents were closer then than they are now, and all of that. But it just seems like a very arduous journey for them to have made. And I know that's a theory, but is that really what happened? Or is it impossible that I don't know, maybe it's my faith that is making me say this. Is it possible that God actually created all of us and put us in different parts of the earth? I don't know. I don't know why that theory has not ever been a thing to. I'm not a scientist, so I'm probably just saying this for my rookie mind or something, but isn't there a possibility? This one, like people are saying, all of us just migrated from one place to the other, and all of us, like we inhabited the whole world, but we all came from one source. I agree that it's not as if people just walk from Africa one day and all the way they walked to Australia. That's not what I'm saying, or to the North Pole or something. I know that it didn't happen like that. I know it happened slowly over the years and everything, but it just seems a little far fetched to me. And another thing I would like to say is, again, I'm a rookie. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying it. But I still ask, how come in the past few years that we've had consciousness, we've had the insights, we have ways of documenting things. We haven't actually seen a significant change in people. Like a lot of us now have moved from Africa to diaspora, moved from warmer climates to cooler climates and stuff. How come generations and generations of children now being born in this cooler climate are not changing skin tone, for example, or changing their adaptive skills? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just talking. But it's one of the questions that it's one of the things that the books just talks about migration, how we move from place to place, ancient technologies, ancient cultures that were wiped away by other Homo sapiens. And basically, I think one of the strongest themes of the book is how our hunter gatherer predecessors, ancestors, most likely had a more fulfilling lifestyle, and that the industrial revolution, agriculture, and every other thing that humans have been able to conceive with their mind and create as a result of the consciousness that we have, which makes us different from all other animals. The only thing that we have that is different from other animals is our consciousness, our ability to think and work together, you know, and talk and agree in the thousands and the millions, which is something that is inconceivable to other animals. Like, so all these things that we've been able to create because of this consciousness has not really benefited us in any way. Our hunter gatherer lifestyle, even though might have been a shorter lifespan, is sort of more fulfilling. I know that, like, again, he keeps saying, oh, it's just opposed. Is it just opposed position? It's like I'm for and against, but most of the time, he's against magnificence into the world and our growth and our everything that we've been able to create is mostly against it. The way it sounds, that's how it comes across to me anyway. So, that's generally the theme of the whole thing. And so a lot of things come to play, how we got to where we are, and of course, how scary Homo sapiens can be, and how sometimes inadvertently, through creating a better life, we think we are making life worse for ourselves. The case of women not sort of deceiving themselves into like not being with their young for long. Before apparently hunter-gatherers, they need to like they needed enough time to recuperate from having a child, you know, so they could bond more with that child. They could like take 2 years, 4 years, take care of one youngling, you know. But as they became, as the turn of the century came and they fell into agriculture, they needed more kids to till the farms, to be in the farm, to do this. Industrial revolution came. You needed more kids. Kids were dying like, it was a game of numbers. You could have 10 and then you lose 7, so you have only 3. So you need to keep having more kids and pumping them out. And now we are in this world now with overpopulation in so many places. And funny enough, we are now in a place where I'm sure at the time when you wrote the book, that wasn't exactly one of the issues that we had. But now it's an issue with we're now going into another phase of people not wanting to have kids. Do you understand? There was a time where people just wanted to have a lot of kids, and now we're going to another phase where people are not thinking about that, which is another problem. So problem not they finish for this industrial thing, this Homo sapien world that we are living in. That's a slang. That's a Nigerian slang, which literally means problems never end. Like we never run out of problems. And that's one thing I always say about the world. The world will give you a solution, and that solution will somehow turn into a problem. Example: COVID-19 problem of sanitizing yourself, mask and all of that, and it became a problem because it helped us to like say stay safe. At the same time, it created a problem with biodegradation of those environments, and then of those equipment and stuff and tools. We use so much nose masks and so much latex gloves. Like, what are we going to do with all of that? So it's just a simple example, but it's like an example of me believing that the world will create a problem, create a solution to the problem, and then create a problem from that solution. It's just a cycle, an endless cycle. So another thing we talked about in the book is how satisfaction is literally in the mind. You might look at yourself now and say, me that I'm living in a nice apartment, I have a cozy bed, I have electricity, I have this, I have that. I'm definitely living a better life than hunter gatherers, right? But you're wrong because hunter gatherers, all they wanted, they didn't know about cozy beds. They didn't care about it. They weren't basing their happiness on that scale. Do you understand? They were just living, and as long as there was an octopus, I say octopus, an elephant or something that they had killed, and the meat was going around the whole village or the clan, they were okay. Do you understand? So they want happiness too. So what he was trying to say is we are not happier than our ancestors. Our innovations, our technological advancements has not made us happier. They were equally happy in their time. We are happy in our time. The people coming after us will be happy in their time. Do you understand? Happiness is relative to where you are now. You cannot compare apples to oranges. That's just what he's trying to say, and I completely agree with that. He talked on a lot of topics, like I said, Christianity, the idea of God, you know, how it's a shared belief and all of that and all of that, which can be a touchy subject. But I read through it because I've grown past doubting my Christianity or doubting not my Christianity, my belief in a bigger being. I've gone beyond that doubt based off on writings or readings or podcasts or whatever that I go through. I believe it because I believe it. I believe it because of my lived experiences. I it might be, when a psychologist looks through it, might be because I'm crazy as well, but I've chosen to believe it, and reading all these things don't affect they don't shake me at all, so it doesn't matter to me. But it might matter to some people because there are a lot of questions. Then he touched on colonizing the world of slavery, and all of that stuff, all of that bad stuff. And one thing he talked about was identity as well. How the shared identity of the world is shaped by a lot of things. And it's not just now thinking about our colonizers. In fact, I had to screenshot a page from the book. Like, it really stuck with me. It was just talking about like a daily life of someone, for example, maybe a Celtic person, for example, who sees his wife, and then his wife likes jewelry from the new people that have overtaken their town, and it's like, why are you not sticking to the ways of our fathers and all of that? But the ways of your father is likely the influence of something else. I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying. So when you open what we consider our identities, they are infused with things that are borrowed, with things that are imposed, with things that are given. That so at the end of the day, who are we really? When you go to Britain, or you're in UK and you drink tea, and it's like part of my culture. I'm a British person, so I drink tea. But why do you drink tea though? Where did it come from? And the same thing, the cup you're using to drink the tea, where did it come from? But now we've sort of just now, if we say, can you have we should all have matcha, or we should all have chai. Like, no, 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 I have to stick to my identity, which is tea. But where did the tea come from? And it's not just Britain, it's not just UK, it's not just any of these things. It's also even in our religion. Oh, we are praying to this particular mother, we're praying to this particular God. Where did they come from? Open the layers and layers and layers and layers, and you find influence upon influence in every culture worldwide. I'm a Yoruba girl from Nigeria, for example, and we have this thing that we drink that is like our cereal, Gary. And Gary is not even from Africa. It's not even it's not even from Nigeria. We Yoruba people that are known for this Gary, we did not invent it, which is very difficult to believe because it's like our cultural food. But it came from Portugal and found its way to our land, and we made it ours. So now it's part of our identity. I'm a Yoruba girl, na Gari I dey drink o, which literally means I'm a Yoruba girl, I drink Gari, which is a very popular beverage and is like our thing. But it's not really our thing. The same with Akara, which is one of our local foods as well, possibly came from diaspora and found its way back to us, found its way to us, and then we stuck with it. the popular African prints that we wear in West Africa, especially Ankara, it didn't come from Africa. It came from Indonesia, I think. I think if I remember correctly. So it's not even our thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like it's not even our thing to start with, but we've now made it ours. So every identity that we think we have is a layer of something else. So when you peel away all our layers as humans in this world, because we have interacted with other cultures, because we have interacted with other people, over the years we've become things that even us, we don't know. We don't even understand how deep it goes. And it's not just in Africa, it's not just in Asia, it's not just, it's everywhere in the world. Even in the UK, you can say, oh, this is British culture. It's British culture. But it's probably something from somewhere, British people, traders that went to somewhere all those years ago, traded with certain people, learned certain things from them, brought it back to Britain, learned, made it into their own thing. Change this thing here, add this one there, put this one away. So it just explains how we humans we are so intertwined, like we are so into each other that it goes beyond. Our identity is not our identity. You say, oh, I'm Nigerian, so I cannot relate to. Bro, you'll be surprised that that thing that you're saying you cannot relate to is probably something borrowed from your own culture to start with. Do you understand? So it's like we are just so into each other, and history has too many layers, and somehow in there we are all lost. Our identities are lost. So you saying, oh, this is my identity, this is what I stand for, this is our culture, this is our food, well, you'll be shocked. You don't really have any identity in that regard. And that stuck with me as well. Another line that stuck with me in the book was a joke, and an unverified joke. So some Americans were speaking to like Native Americans, the original Americans. Sorry, we're speaking to original Americans and saying something like, "Oh, we're going to the moon. We're trying to get to the moon. We're going to the moon." And it was like, and the Native Americans, the original Americans, said to these American people and said, "Oh, when you get there, my ancestors used to believe that we have family on the moon, like we're from the moon. Um, most of our people are on the moon, or we are related to the moon because they also have their own myths and theories and stuff." Like, okay, so I'm going to give you a message. When you do get to the moon, tell this to people over there. And he gave him a message, and he asked, like, can you tell me the meaning? He's like, no, I'm not going to tell you the meaning. It's only the people that you get to on the moon that will understand what we're saying. So eventually, after, like, they were really perplexed. They wanted to know the meaning of what the original American told them to tell their family members on the moon. So they found some guy that could translate it, and it was like, the guy was laughing hysterically because apparently what the native original American had said is, so when you get to the moon, tell the people there. So he was saying to the people on the moon that if you can understand me, don't believe anything that this white man is telling you. They are, whatever they are coming, they are telling you it's a lie. They are coming to steal your land. And that was very funny because, good, Homo sapiens, taking over other people's lands, taking over other people's identities, wiping out cultures. And so this Native American was trying to humorously, make the white man warn by himself, inadvertently warn the people. It was, oh, we just want to go and explore the moon. We just want to go and see what's happening over there. We just want to go and look at it. We don't have any ill intention. But this man was warning them that it's a lie. Oh. Don't believe him. Oh. Whatever they tell you is a lie. They are coming to take over your land. That stuck with me anyway, being Nigerian, and not just being Nigerian. I come from Nigeria, and we're one of the people that our country was just shared. They just cut, they just draw a line and say, okay, you people are together, you people are now one country and one nation. And this conflict, exists and will continue to exist for a long time in places all over the world because some people just colonized. They don't even understand the cultures. And that's another thing that takes me back to Malala's book. She literally said that where she's from, they have like cousins and aunties in another country and they're all related. They were all together before, but now like there's a line. We are different countries now, but we're still the same people. So, you know, countries are in our minds. That's one of the things that Yuval said in the book. The idea of countries, the idea of cultures, and all these things, they're in the mind. They don't exist. They're not facts. You cannot hold on to it, so they're not real. But it's interesting still. The concept of nationalism and stuff like that that has bound us. Yeah, I'm a nationalist, but at the end of the day, they're just concepts and they're all in your mind. But yeah, one thing that I would like to say though is the book was spelling so much doom about the future, things that humans will begin to do, and the problems we'll begin to create for ourselves. And one thing that is funny to me is, as at the time we wrote this book, CRISPR wasn't even a thing yet. That's CRISPR, which is a DNA mending technology thing that just came up. Not just came up, it's been in practice for years, but like now it's a thing. Like you can edit and then your edits on the DNA would now go into future generations, right? So the possibility of creating superhuman, like he suggested in the book, is looking more real. It's not even looking more real, it's real. The downsides or the side effects might we don't know yet because I don't think that people are approved to run to run tests on humans yet. But like it's scary because if without this kind of power we were able to conquer the world, delete entire ecosystems, make some animals extinct, make some other humans extinct, create and wipe out cultures, create shared ideologies that have almost ended the world. And now we have more technology in our hands. We have AI, which I'm not so scared of. I love AI. But now we have CRISPR and we have more other things that might be coming up in the biological space that could, you know, create superhumans. There's one weird scientist that did a procedure with CRISPR in I can't really remember the exact. I think it's Japan or China. I think it's China, yeah. And he was arrested anyway. He made babies that could not get HIV. And the reason why that's questionable is there are so many ways that this could have been avoided anyway. You don't need to use CRISPR to achieve that. You could have just used you could have used a lot of other things. I think you were just using it to do is human experiment because there's no reason for you to edit DNA or genome to make sure that someone cannot contract HIV. It's very unnecessary. You're just playing human lives and everything, and the side effects you don't even know what the side effects are yet. But it did that successfully. Who knows what people can do? I think they're working on it for people with blindness. I think that has been successful to an extent. Color blindness, yes, particular color blindness. I think I heard a podcast on how that has been effective in that regard. And so, if you're colorblind, I mean, they can help now. They think they're working on it for, especially they're looking at it for sickle cell and some other things. But of course, we know how these things go. The ethical questions will start coming into play. Yeah, if you can use it for sickle cell, why can't we just do it for this or that illness? And then before you know it becomes something else. And it's a slippery slope. You can't, nobody wins at the end of the day. Like I said, the solution to the problem will now become another problem. And then the cycle continues. Because I think things like, I'll just chip in this little part of things like IVF surrogacy are blessings. They are tremendous solutions to a varying number of problems. But do you know that some people have found a way to make those very things problems on their own? from exploitation of other women, from baby farming and things like that. It's crazy. So it's a slippery slope. Another example I like to give is of a problem, of a solution to a problem becoming a problem. Yeah, I already said IVF. Something else came to mind. I think it's gone now. I remember, and I'll just continue saying it. So, like, these things could become very, very ethical questions with time. Like, why can't we just do it now? Why can't we just create a child that doesn't live with disease? But then, what if somebody's parents don't have money for that and they have to live with disease? Would they be second class citizens and things like that? Yeah, I remember what it is now. So I heard somewhere, because I just had a baby, and of course we did genetic testing at 20 weeks to see if the baby had some conditions that might affect quality of life. And then you're advised, of course, if those things come out positive, to take out the baby, so the baby doesn't have a bad quality of life. And one of the things they test for is Down syndrome. At the time, I didn't feel weird about it. Of course, I was going to do the test. But then, after I'd done the test and after my baby arrived and everything, I was reading somewhere about how Down syndrome is has been completely eradicated in a country. I can't remember if it's Norway or Finland, but it's one of them. Sweden, one of those three. It's on Switzerland. So one of those three Nordic nations, beautiful countries that are very smart and forward thinking. But when you think about it, how do you expect the people who are living with that condition in that country to feel? Because their country has made them or their condition look like something that is so dilapidating, or what's the English, made it look like a burden, made it look like something that is incomprehensible to live with, that they don't want their future generations to have that condition. So they are completely wiping it out. But there are people who were before this revolution, who have and live with this syndrome, and who have lived full lives, maybe of course not easy lives like other people and everything. But why are they not living easy lives? Or it's because humans are unkind, and we are thinking of them as the minority of the minority, and we're not thinking of continuous ways to make them inclusive in the society, to make to make the society accessible to them, not them accessible to society. Like, make the society work for them, make the society bend for them. Just the same way there are men's bedrooms and female bedrooms and this and wheelchair accessibility here and there. Make accessibility for all types of people, all types of humans, and stop this narrative of, oh, if your child has Down syndrome or if your fetus has Down syndrome, just let them go because they're not going to have a good quality of life. And then all of us, we keep hearing this thing, they keep telling it to us, they keep telling it to us, and somehow subconsciously we now believe that, oh, someone with Down syndrome will not have a good quality of life, or so there's something wrong with it, it's a problem. Even to the point that someone like me bought into that idea, and I bought into doing that test for my kid. And I didn't even think twice about it. It didn't even occur to me that this is the ethics of it might be wrong somehow, somehow. It didn't occur to me. It was later. So we've made it so normal, and then in the next few years, people will refuse to test their kids, or will just find out after their kids are born, because the tests are never 100% anyway. So if you eventually have a kid with Down syndrome, then the world makes your child feel very different, very lonely, very weird. When now, instead of making those kind of things normal, why can't the world bend their rules to make everywhere accessible for everyone, no matter how you're born, no matter what is wrong with you, no matter what they say is wrong with you, because there's actually nothing wrong with you. Do you get? Nothing is wrong. You're just different. So why can't the world that's created different kinds of accessibility for certain things, make more accessible things for more kinds of people. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a slippery slope with CRISPR and the kind of technologies that are coming up, and in the biological space especially, because they're gonna say, okay, oh, they notice there is children with green eyes that have the best opportunity to do diseases that are. Won't more people just opt to make their children have green eyes, and before you know it, brown eyes, blue eyes will now become the defect that you can test for and remove. Do you get? I know it's very pessimistic, but that's the truth. Because these things don't just happen once, they creep up on us slowly. And before you know it, it's a full blown problem. It's a full blown problem from a solution. So that's my conclusion to this book. It's a very pessimistic book. I don't know if I'll be continuing the series of. It has other books about humans and stuff like that. But I get the gist of it now, so I might not continue reading them because they're very sad, to be honest. It's very sad. Like, our problem creates solution that will become another problem, and then we'll continue going like that till the end of life, or till we blow ourselves out of existence, which is not looking like it's possible. Anyway, that's me signing out. Thank you for listening. Bye.